As far as song, like we have a pretty clear last place song in the ranking. Barely getting double digits in terms of points. So like across the board, we're like this song is the worst song on the album. Or only two of us voted as the worst song, but unanimously as a group, it ends up like pretty decisively. So the way this works for first time viewers of the show, there's 17 songs we're ranking today. Each panelist votes the songs that they like. Their top pick gets 17 points. Their least favorite gets 1 point. And then we add up the points to see where all the songs end up. And getting only 12 points collectively from the panelists here and Victor, who isn't even here, but counting his votes, Innocent lands last place in the ranking as the least best song on Speak Now. Mike, you and I both put this in last place, probably for different reasons. I will let you go first.
Yeah, it's for repeat viewers who have become fans of my Taylor Swift assessments. If any such people exist in this world, probably not.
There are actually.
As you've heard me say multiple times, didn't hate it. It's just kind of one that ended up at the bottom. It didn't really excite me. I either like up-tempo songs or slow songs that particularly hit me, and this wasn't either. No agenda against it. It doesn't infuriate me. One of the least memorable ones to me. When it would come on, when I listen to the album, I go, listen to it in order at least a couple of times, and then I kind of start working on my ranking, and then I start kind of listening in order of my ranking. Like, is this song really my favorite? Is this one really my second favorite? And I felt pretty okay with it being at the bottom or near the bottom. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
I'll go next since I also ranked it at the bottom. So I am someone who appreciates melodrama and like really over the top emotions over like trivial, silly subject matter. But this is crossing a boundary where even Greg finds this to be kind of dumb, and how overwrought this song is based upon what the song is about, which is Kanye West was just like kind of a dick and interrupted me. And then Kanye felt really bad about it, and we all had to treat him with kid gloves and say, oh, no, you're still a genius, you're still a nice person, it was just a mistake. Like, no, dude, you were an asshole, deal with it, be a grown-ass man, move on. Like, that's what it is, but everyone was treating Kanye with kid gloves about it, and, like, trying to be tender and nice to him because they respected his artistry, but, like, no, like, you can like someone's records and still think they're an asshole. Like, I like Gene Simmons' music, but, like, I think the dude's an asshole, and I think that's, like, a pretty unanimously held opinion. So I thought it was way too charitable to Kanye, and way too nice of a song, and introspective and sweet, given that just, like, the dude was just, like, kind of an asshole, and, like, did not deserve the sincerity put into the song. And so I actually think it actually is a good song, and I think the theme about, like, self-forgiveness is important, but then when I think, oh yeah, it's because Kanye just, like, interrupted your speech and was being kind of an asshole, it's like, it is too weighty given, like, what the song is actually about. And so every time I think of that, it's just like, it ruins the song for me knowing the context. Outside of the context, it's actually great. It's actually, I think, a good song. But knowing it's about that just makes it very, very silly for me personally, and makes me hard to take it seriously. Julia, I see you smirking. More than Steve, who is also smirking, but I'll let you go next.
I won the smirk championship. Well, here's an interesting thought, Greg, because I hate the song for the exact same reason. Like, I feel like it's really weird, and I also just kind of think, like, you already won by how you handled the original situation. I honestly don't think you really, I mean, not that I'll tell her, like, you don't need to write, she doesn't need to write songs about anything. So if she felt called to write a song about it, but I was like, I feel like it was already pretty, like, wrapped up. We could just leave this be.
So what's interesting is that I read some articles that I was looking up the song. People were criticizing her for not being more forgiving to Kanye in the press after the incident. And so I think she might have felt pressured to write the song, because, like, why aren't you being more charitable to Kanye? And everyone it feels like I'm in a weird parallel universe where like everyone is criticizing Taylor for how she handles the Kanye situation over the course of her life, and everything she does, she handles with like the maximum amount of grace you should handle someone like that, and even more so.
I just think it would have been baller if she just like let it sit. Maybe that's how I feel. It's just like just leave it be. But also, yeah, I mean, I get if people are bugging you about something, maybe you'll just knock something out. But I have a thought. I don't think this song is about Kanye West. I think it's about John Mayer, and I think that she just said it's about Kanye West because I think she threw in some like lyric changes to be like, yeah, sure, because there are things in there that sound much more tied to John Mayer and make a lot more sense as a John Mayer song than they do as a Kanye West song.
Yeah, I'm actually going to back up Julia's theory on this just because I didn't know this was supposedly about Kanye West. And then Greg, when you were saying that, I'm like, is he sure about that? This seems way too deep and serious. Like, so then I started reading the lyrics just now, and I'm like, this was about the Kanye West thing. Like, so
It's
yeah, I don't
very
know.
odd.
I would not be surprised if Julia's theory holds some water or something else, some other mix of things in there. And then she's like, yeah, it was about Kanye. Like, that's deep for that whole Kanye thing. To me,
That's what I think, and that's why I like bumped it up a little bit higher than the bottom. I feel like that all of the songs I have on the bottom are ones that I think are kind of just like corny and stupid. Um and I just don't like them, but I was like this one, if I interpret it as a John Mayer song, I feel like is less corny. But if I assume the song is actually about Kanye West, it would go straight to the bottom for me because I just find it very weird. And yeah, just like it's too much. I don't get it.
I don't have a source, but I seem to remember like in interviews Kanye talking about like the importance of innocence and how he still felt like he was an innocent despite the hardships or trials and tribulations he had gone through, aka just like being a jerk to people. So I wonder like if that was where the lyrical inspiration came from, because I do seem to remember that at interviews around that time, but I can't like pinpoint it exactly. So, but I like it better, and I wish I could take the John Mayer interpretation, but I really think this was her really doing like the most delicate of kid gloves for Kanye and just being like, no, sweetie, you're totally not a jerk, while probably secretly thinking like, this man child.
And also, like, I'm sorry, but I get that she's like a younger artist, and also, again, she did nothing wrong in that situation. She did everything right. So, like, I don't want to be another person criticizing Taylor, but like, just like, it's Kanye West. He has a reputation for saying shit that sucks. Like, even at this point, I feel like he had said plenty of things that suck. Like, just ignore him. Like, it's way cooler to not cave to everyone saying, like, you have to do this. But also, I think she's learned by now that
Right.
whether you do something or don't do it, it doesn't matter. But maybe at this point she wasn't as like, she's like, oh, shoot, I need to do I need to make sure I come out looking good. I'm like, you're a little blonde white girl. Everyone's always going to say you came out looking good. And then the other half of people will say you're a slut and you did everything wrong.
Well,
it's
but
how,
it's
how we exist in this world, unfortunately.
But going back to whatever that one Kanye West song where like they recorded the phone conversation talking with her, and they edited the conversation to make it seem like she consented to the song, where they didn't tell her all the lyrics, where Kanye's like, yeah, I made her, like calling her a bitch and talking about like, having sex with her. And then in the music video, having a mannequin of Taylor Swift in the video to make it look like he had had sex with her. And then when she came out after that, and it's like, what planet are we living on where she is the bad guy for like having to take a phone from this food, like, yeah, I'm going to write a song about how I want to have sex with you, and then being like, okay, like I don't understand. And then yeah, so I think she handled that situation the best she could. I think she's a people pleaser, because when she does like interviews with radio stations, she bakes them cookies. And I remember like watching a clip of like this interviewer like giving her shit about the cookies and saying like, oh, these look gross, they're probably not very good. And she looks heartbroken because she's like, I baked you cookies and you're making fun of the cookies I made. And she just looks like she's about to cry. And I'm like, if I'm a radio DJ and the person bakes me cookies, I'm not going to be an asshole about it. So I think she just like is genuinely trying to make everybody happy, which is like you can't do when you're an artist on that level. I think she's like hadn't realized that yet. And like, okay, well, I will try to be friends with Kanye because that's what you do, right? Because blonde Christian white girl trying to get everybody to like them. So that's what I see the situation as.
Just to clarify, was she baking cookies for DJs in like 2007 when she was trying to break it, or was this like 2 years ago?
Like recently, she will like bake cookies for
very
DJ.
Recently, she still bakes cookies for. Yeah, that's just hilarious. Like, if I was a billionaire, like famous person, I probably wouldn't show up with like homemade cookies. That's cool. Good on her. It's just like.
Apparently she does that a lot. She'll like bake goods and then bring them out when she goes to like
cookies,
events.
yeah.
So like if there's like a house party, she will like bake homemade treats and just bring them because she's just like a person who likes doing that. So
you're saying we do need to get her on this podcast so we can have cookies?
I mean, that would be great. Look, Taylor, I like you. I've stood up for you on all these podcasts. Give me cookies at least. And Mike, he deserves them. Steve's been mean.
Maybe you could win me over with cookies. You never know.
Looks like we lost Julia.
Yes, her computer
She
died.
is grimacing, and she needs Victor to sign her back in.
All right, well, we will move on to Steve while Julia is getting back in. So, Steve, what are your thoughts on Innocent and, Kanye West? I feel like your stance on Kanye is that she's a better artist than Taylor, so you're on his side.
Not depends on which era of Kanye we're talking about.
The one that says "I love," actually, I'm not even going to say because I'll get demonetized if I talk about his praising of the Third Reich.
Yeah. No, so around 2007, Kanye was still when he was, creating great albums and was being an abrasive public personality. But storming a stage at an award show, who cares? Yeah, it was a rude thing to do. And there are far worse things to do. That one's not a big deal. The doctoring a phone call to make it seem like she gave consent to be, sexualized in his song, that's weird. That's out there.
That's pretty
not
bad.
Cool, but yeah, that's pretty egregious. But just storming the stage and shooting your mouth off at an award show, whatever. Honestly, that should happen more often because these things are boring. Anyway, but I was not thinking about Kanye when I ranked this song because I didn't know that was who this was ostensibly about. I was thinking about the work more or less by itself in a vacuum. And this song was sequenced immediately after Better Than Revenge. And they both have a very similar feel of they both seem like they are talking to somebody who is involved in a relatively petty disagreement. But Better Than Revenge is all like, oh yeah, that person is the worst and I hope terrible things happen to them. And Innocent is like, no, you're not as bad as you think, as people are saying you are, and you deserve good things. It's the same person, just two different people talking about the same person. But I feel like Taylor Swift with her main character syndrome doesn't really have the self-awareness to do that on purpose.
I think I respect that take to a degree, but the fact that they're sequenced right after each other, I think there is some awareness of that. Look, I also have main character syndrome and also have the, oh God, I want everyone to like me syndrome. Please, everybody like me. Oh God, it's the only way I can feel good about myself. So, oh, hello, kitty.
Where's the cat going?
He doesn't like this album.
Oh, damn.
More of a Red fan.
I feel like
that's why you can't get along.
Yeah,
I think cats
exactly.
would really be the charisma we need to anchor this podcast into something people actually want to watch.
Yeah,
we should just get stock footage of cats and replace all of our video with that instead.
Good thinking.
I suspect you'd get way more views, Greg.
There
we go.
There we go. Now we're gonna get
that sounds like a niche podcast, like cats talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So what we need to all do is become VTubers, each of us with a cat persona, and then talk about Taylor Swift.
There we go.
that'll bring in all the monetization for the channel.
Is Mr. Cool still in your garage, Greg, or did we get that to Needle Juice?
I think Mr. Cool is still in the garage, which you should definitely get sometime, maybe with the guitars. But
okay,
yeah. But I feel like we beat Innocent pretty thoroughly into the ground, unless we have any other commentary on it before we move on.
Phrasing, Greg, but yeah.